Hi, my name is Matthew Clark, and today I'm going to be talking about my internship experience at Computers for Kids. So just to jump right in, what is Computers for Kids? Well, Computers for Kids is a non-profit business off of Victory and Cole Road, so it's a little bit out there compared to the school. They're a Microsoft authorized refurbisher, which means they get authentic Microsoft software, so no computer that they sell or give away will have an unlicensed version of Windows. They are an e-waste disposal facility, so any old electronics that you no longer need, you can take to them and they will get rid of it the right way. And they are partnered with their sister company SecureRace to get all of the data off of your hard drives, so there's no no chance of litigation if you're a company and you have sensitive data that you need to get rid of. So I obtained my internship by just kind of showing up. After waiting around in Ms. Deichler's internship room for about 2 months, I decided I was sick of that. So I said, Deichler, I'm gonna roll out. And I left for that day, and I drove to 3 or 4 places and walked in and just asked if they needed an intern. Most said they'd get back to me. Most did after I already started working at CFK. I went in, saw that they needed labor, asked if they need another guy, and because it was an unpaid internship, I did not even interview. I was just kind of hired on the spot. That happened in mid-November. So what does an average day at Computers for Kids look like for me? It looks like this. A bit of a mess, completely overwhelming. What you're looking at is the inside of Computers for Kids' vault. Inside their warehouse, they have a 1,000 square foot concrete reinforced room that we call the vault, and that's where all of the computers that have information on hard drives go before they are processed by the business. So it's my job to make sure the data is removed safely and securely. So on a day-to-day basis, step by step, computers that we receive are trucked into the system. This just means they're entered into our database with their serial number. After that, they're put on a nice organized pallet and wheeled into the vault where I handle them. So we take the computers and we process them. We scan in the serial number. The database gives us a form to fill out, and we enter the manufacturer, model, what type it is, like a laptop, all-in-one, desktop, full tower server, etc. And then we take them apart. So we take out the RAM and the hard drive, and then we log the hard drive and bind it to that specific serial number. And then we note how much RAM is in it, and then it is either sent to tear down or repurpose. That is where the people up front will handle it. If it goes to tear down, it's just taken apart for its material parts. The metal goes in a big old dumpster, and then the boards are presumably sold for parts. I'm not really sure what happens after that. If it goes to repurpose, it's sent up front where it is rebuilt and then given away to kids or sold, and then the money goes back into the business. So a special project we did was the iMacs. We had 2 gigantic Gaylords filled to the brim with 20, 24, and 27-inch iMac all-in-one computers. We had probably 50 or 60 of these, and there's 2 ways to remove the data. You could either do it inside the computer, because a lot of the newer iMacs had SecureRace built in, or you could remove the hard drive and do it the other way, which involves putting the hard drive through our wipe machine. So on the newer ones, there was a series of commands that you would run from the iMac's recovery partition. So you would boot into recovery mode and then enter the disk utility commands. To get the information we needed to log the machines, because all of the iMacs look the same on the outside, we would enter the command user/sbin/system_profiler sp hardware data type. And the hardware data type specifies the exact things inside the computer. For instance, its model name, what processor it has, how fast the processor is, how much RAM, and a couple various other things such as the serial number and MAC address. To wipe the drives, we would enter disk util, which is the disk utility, secure erase, which is the one where it does it securely, so that's 7 times over. Free space, which includes all of the stuff that doesn't even have information on it. 2, which denotes exactly how many times it will wipe, but it doesn't actually wipe 2. 1 wipes it once, 2 wipes it 7 times, 3 wipes it 21 times. I'm not really sure what you do that for. And 4, which wipes it 3 times. So we would use 2 because that is 7 times, which is how many times our wipe server wipes them. And then you note the volume, which is volumes/Mac, because that's the Mac equivalent of this PC. And then it sits for about 20 to 40 hours wiping the hard drive, and then it's good to go. Some of them had a GUI, but majority did not. Alternatively, we would take them apart, so you would start by taking off the glass display screen. For that, it's held in with just a couple of magnets, so we had a suction cup tool to pull it off. And then there were 6 screws on the bezel there. In the bezel, you can take off the chin to expose the fans and whatnot. And then there was the display, which had another 6 screws in relatively the same location. Take off the display, and you're met with the logic board, the CD drive, the hard drive, which is in this gap in the center here, and then all of the other internal components. In the beginning of this project, we had a serious disaster. We had 6 of the iMacs, beautiful 27-inch, the thin ones that were actually worth some money, so we wanted to do them first, on a folding table. And after about 5 seconds of being on there, our folding table broke, the legs collapsed, and all 6 iMacs fell to the ground. In total, we lost 3 of the displays and 1 of the machines. It was just absolutely bricked because it was running the utility command when it happened. A couple other projects. Upstairs the vault, on top of the vault, I cleaned up the floor space because people had just used it as a, I can't do this right now, I'll do it later, and then they forget about it, so they just throw stuff up there. It was incredibly dirty. It took about a week to clean up. I also went to a job site, drove a truck in the rain. It was very scary. The truck didn't go and did not stop because it was very, very heavy. Some skills I brought to the internship: warehousing knowledge, networking skills, and professionalism. The warehousing, I used to work at a furniture installation company. As you can see, we took that job very seriously. So there, I got some pretty effective lifting knowledge, some organizational skills with it being a warehouse and all, and then understanding the importance of a good workflow. A warehouse is a lot like a slide puzzle. If it gets too full, you can't move things around to make it more organized. You always have to leave yourself a little bit of room. Some networking knowledge that I learned at the school. Most of it didn't really apply to this job. It was a lot less IT focused and a lot more kind of warehouse general knowledge focused. But to test out PC Pro course that I learned in networking, and then the A+ material that I learned in senior year was very helpful in trying to figure out exactly what parts of a computer do and why they are important. Some professionalism. At the warehouse job, I went on job sites pretty frequently, and when you're working with a lot of other general contractors and just other people on an area that's not yours, you do have to be courteous and professional, because you don't want to look like a fool in front of everybody. But you also don't want to be a total stick in the mud, so it's very important to find a good balance between respecting people, knowing when to be appropriate, and knowing when to still have a little fun with your job and be nice and courteous to your coworkers. I had some prerequisite knowledge there at the previous warehouse job, but here it was a lot more important because there was a big age difference in the people I was working with and the customers who would come in. Computers for Kids doesn't just get like 30-year-old people. We have ranging from 16 to probably 70 years old working at Computers for Kids, and then we get all sorts of people coming through the door with donations. So you really have to watch how you appear and how you carry yourself, because you're a representative of the whole business when they're looking at you. Some skills that I gained working here: component identification. That one's huge. I go over probably 100 different computers a day, and now that I've worked here, I can tell you the innards of the computer, exactly what they are at a glance, how fast they run, what's better than them, what's worse than them, and sometimes even how much they would sell for. workspace organization, so a lot less workplace. This is more on a very small scale, like just your desk. Place for everything in its place. When I need a very specific screwdriver size to get out a laptop screw, I know exactly where to look, where to grab it, assuming nobody has taken it, which we very frequently do with each other. We'll just say, I need this screwdriver, and we'll take it. And then efficient lifting and moving techniques. I did say this on the previous slide, but it was even more important here. With furniture, that's usually wrapped pretty nicely in a box, and if you drop it a foot, it's no big deal because it's on wheels too. With computers, there's serious consequences. If you drop those, especially onto concrete, you could just ruin the whole machine right there. So it's really important that you carry things properly. And a lot of the computers can be super, super, super heavy too. So, lift with your legs, straighten the back, use your arms a little bit. Two-man the really heavy stuff. Some behaviors. I already went over the warehouse attitude versus the job site attitude. So some benefits that I got from working here. I did receive a job offer in December. I have accepted that, and I'm now working at Computers for Kids full-time. And it being a non-profit business, it is actually a great resume booster. People at other companies love seeing that you've done work for a non-profit or volunteer work. It just shows that you are able to do work for no money, which they really like. I currently have no plans of going to higher education. If I'm going to, it's probably not going to be university. It's probably going to be something like CWI, maybe an automotive course. I'm really into cars and engines and airplanes. I wouldn't want a job in networking, as weird as that is to say, because it's all I've studied for the last 4 years. I much prefer networking as a hobby than a career pathway. I really do think I would just kill the interest in it for myself if I got a job in networking. So for employment plans, I think I will just be staying with Computers for Kids for a little while, see how that pans out, maybe go to CWI, get some sort of applied sciences or engineering degree. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. Have a good one.